Hi and welcome to another video. This time a review video, so I'm not outdoors as you can already tell. If you've been watching any of my recent films, you will have seen and know that I'm off to Norway in a couple of weeks, so up in the Arctic Circle, which is kind of really exciting, really looking forward to it. But that trip has meant I've had to buy a new camera bag. For a couple of reasons. One, I needed a bag that was airline cabin compliant, because the bag that you probably most often see me wearing in my films is a it's a big kind of 70 litre, maybe 75 litre rucksack, which obviously won't fit in the overhead lockers and won't be compliant. So I started to look for a bag that would allow me to take stuff on the plane in the overhead locker. So it's got to be compliant. But also a bag that would serve me while I'm in Norway as kind of a day bag. So something that's got my camera gear in and allows me to be mobile, fleet of foot, if you like. And I've landed on, no pun intended, this bag, which is the Lowepro, bear with me because there's a lot of names and numbers. It's the Flipside Trek BP 450AW. I don't know why don't they call these things like Bob or Jane or something? It'd be easy to remember. Anyway, so did a lot of research, asked a few people, and this seemed like a good choice. Another reason it seemed like a good choice is I happened to go on Amazon and it was the deal of the day. So it was reduced, I think it was £139, reduced down to £89 on one of those daily deals. So it was too good an opportunity to miss. So I snagged it and here it is, and I thought I'd give you my thoughts. I've used it 3 or 4 times out in the field, so got a kind of good understanding of the pluses and the minuses. So first things first, as you'd expect from a company like Lowepro, it is incredibly well made. All the stitching is great. You can tell it's proper quality. It's rugged. As I said, it's been out in the field. The clips are stable. There's no, kind of give in the seams or anything like that. So, but you should take that, if you're paying good money for a bag from someone like GoPro, you'd expect that anyway. But, it passes that first test of being kind of good quality. And obviously the primary reason I got the bag was as a camera bag. And the thing I liked about this is obviously it's a backpack. But the thing I liked about it, and which has actually kind of come in really useful, is the camera stow area is actually in the back of the bag. So there's a kind of nice zipped up compartment here where you can put your camera, obviously lenses. At the moment I've got kind of a landscape setup in here. So camera, lens, batteries, shutter release, cards, filters, all that type of stuff. Some of my vlogging equipment, although I'm obviously using it at the moment. And you can alter there's Velcro inserts that you can alter the shape of what goes in there. So at the moment, pretty good. One thing I would say is it does seem to be set up for kind of landscape photography. So if I just grab my 400mm lens, if I put my 400mm lens in there, it just about fits. And it takes up the whole of one side. So I can have my lens and my camera and a couple of other bits. But if I wanted to put because quite often when I'm out doing wildlife work, I'll have my 400, but I'll also have my macro and my 1740. That wouldn't all fit. It'd be quite a squeeze. So just bear in mind that space is limited, although it's a nice setup. And one of the things I really have appreciated about the bag is obviously you wear it on your back, got these over your shoulders, and kind of the waist straps around your waist. I'll mention that in a minute. But you're wearing the bag, you're working on your shots, and then you can slip your arms out of here and just spin the bag round. So while it's still attached to you around your waist, spin the bag round. You're essentially wearing, it looks a little bit like a papoose or something. You're essentially wearing the bag. You can open it up and you can access your filters or so on and so forth. Close that back up, spin it back round, arms back through there, and it's back as a backpack. And the reason I really like that is one of the issues I always have when I'm out, particularly in places where it's damp or wet or on the beach, is at the moment my setup, I've got to put my stuff down on the ground. So I do get a bit worried about kind of putting my kind of bag down on the ground and it getting wet or sandy or dusty, that type of thing. This means you wear your gear and it's never on the ground, and that's a really kind of good thing. It also means I don't have to worry about, one of the things I sometimes worry about when I'm out with my gear is I'm concentrating on taking my images, my gear's at the side or wherever, and in windy conditions I'm constantly looking at it to make sure it's not going to blow off. So it's a real bonus to be able to do that and wear it and have access to your gear through this hatch. I mentioned the kind of the waistband. One thing for me that I found, and I've done a previous film about a bag that I use in the winter, although I've now replaced that with a slightly larger one, is that when you're wearing a backpack, you're meant to carry all the weight on your hips, so not on your shoulders. If you get that feeling when you're out with a backpack that your shoulders start to ache, it's because you're bearing the weight on your shoulders. The shoulder straps are essentially for stability. You're meant to carry it on your hips, so the waist straps should be on your hips, and that's where you bear the weight. Slight issue with this bag is I find that when I'm wearing it, the waist straps are too high. They are around my waist, not on my hips, and I think that's because the distance between the bottom of the bag and the top of the bag is quite small, and physiologically I've got quite a long kind of torso, so I'm finding that the waist straps are too high, and there's no way to adjust them. But it's not a terrible thing because I've only been wearing it for maybe an hour or two. I think if I'd had it on for kind of longer than that, I'd start to get those shoulder aches. But other than that, kind of really positive. As a camera bag, as a camera carrying bag, I'll probably give it kind of 9 out of 10 because I really love that you can kind of wear the bag and access your stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, it's really well made. What are the negatives? So I think I can kind of summarize the negatives with the demonstration. So this is one of both kind of waist straps have got pockets in. So here's the pocket. Here's my iPhone. Not anything special, just an iPhone 6. Let's put that in the pocket. Right, it's a real squeeze to get my iPhone in the pocket, and that kind of sums up the issue. As a camera bag, fantastic. As a bag carrying stuff, not very good because there's not enough space. Those pockets, I guess you put your car keys in, things like that, but they're not really practical to carry anything else. And then if I flip the bag up and over, get these straps out of the way, there are 2 pockets on the back or the front of the bag. There's a front one here and kind of the top one, and I'll demonstrate why I think there's a problem with this bag. So I'll unzip this pocket, and that's as far as it opens. So it goes right down to the bottom of the bag, but it only opens that much. And the label here suggests that this is for a laptop or a tablet. I wouldn't get my laptop in there because it's no way big enough. You'd probably get a small tablet, but if you look at my kind of the spread of my hands, it's maybe 5-6 inches. So a small tablet would probably go in there. I actually never take a tablet out. But what do I take out on the hills? As I mentioned, I've done a previous film about what I take on the hills, and check it out. I'll put the link in here. But here we go. Typical thing I would take on the hills. And I should say, this is the absolute bare minimum I'd ever take. If I was spending a whole day in the hills, I'd have a lot more gear than this. But kind of this was just a brief excursion, I should say, into the hills. Got my map, goes in there. Oh. What else do I take? Of course, my emergency survival bag. Oh, well, that goes in there. Right. Emergency medical kit. Well, that won't go in there now. Maybe I could put it in here. No, it won't fit in there. So that'll have to go down the bottom there. Not great to have my kind of emergency medical kit in the bottom. And then, well, hang on. Let's look at the top bit, because the top bit is a bit more spacious. So open that up, and you can see it's quite a bit more spacious than the front pocket. But what else do I need to take into the hills when I'm kind of out for a trip? Well, of course, I need to make sure I'm fed and hydrated. So use this as an example. This is my these are my sandwiches. I will normally take sandwiches, snacks, you know, kind of energy for the hills. I wouldn't typically take it in a box like this because it's hard-sided, but I'd normally have it in a bag. But I haven't made my sandwiches, so this is a kind of demonstration for demonstration purposes. It's probably about the same volume as the amount of food I'd take. So kind of that's in my bag. Obviously, I need to have a drink. I would typically take about 1 litre of drink, either a full litre of water or a juice, or a half litre of water and a juice, and a half litre of a hot drink, so a soup or a tea or something. So I'm going to try and be fair to the bag. Here's my half litre, which actually, well, it's a bit like Tetris. There's my half litre in the bag. If I had another half, well, actually, let's say I'm going to take my full litre. Let's put that in the bag. So that's in, just about. And that's getting pretty full. I also need to take, obviously, kind of my waterproof gear. And as I mentioned, my waterproof gear, this is the kind of the summer, late spring, early autumn waterproof gear. It's not my winter gear. So there's my waterproof coat. That's going in, and it's a packable waterproof coat. So that top is now full. You'll probably get, you know, a bag of jelly babies in there or something, but not much else. So what about my waterproof trousers? Well, put them in. So they're in. Also have my warm coat. So I always carry my warm coat, and can maybe squeeze that in the top. Not really, but what about my hat? I might be wearing it, but I might not be wearing it. And my gloves, let's see, the gloves. And what else have I forgotten? Oh, my compass, put that in. And my head torch, put that in. And my emergency knife. You never know when I might need to amputate my my own leg or something. So I'm now really struggling. I've still not got my hat in, my buff in. Sorry. So you can see the problem. The bag is great as a camera bag. Absolutely, I've got no complaints of the bag as a camera bag. But that is only probably maybe half of the gear that I would normally take into the mountains if I was going for a full day. So the bag is great as a camera bag. As a bag for going into the mountains, it doesn't serve the purpose. I wouldn't feel confident about going into the mountains with such a small amount of equipment because of the capacity of the bag. You know, safety. I've probably banged on about this a lot in previous films. Safety is everything. If I was spending a full day in the hills, you know, maybe kind of, you know, 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. or even, you know, even kind of dusk, sunset or whatever, or you know, dawn till dusk. I quite often do. This bag just wouldn't serve my purpose because I wouldn't be able to carry enough of my other. I've got my camera gear in, but I wouldn't be able to get enough of my other gear in. So as a bag for spending, you know, a reasonable amount of time in the hills, I'd probably give it 5 on 10. So as a camera bag, 9 on 10. As a bag for the hills, maybe 5. I will, having said that, I will definitely be using it in Norway, because when I'm in Norway, I'll have a hire car. I won't be going on long hikes because I've got a limited amount of time there, so I'll probably be traveling, being quite quick to take some images, and then moving on to the next place. So I'll probably only be away from the car for maybe an hour or 2. and then I'll be kind of shooting around. So this will be perfect. Got my camera gear. I've got a couple of things, obviously I have my hat and gloves and all that type of stuff. And I'll probably, given the weather forecast for the Arctic Circle in October is cold, I'll probably be wearing my coat and things like that. So this will be ideal for kind of nimble, quick, get out, take some shots, get back onto the next one. Absolutely perfect. It's perfect for me going down to a coast and spending a bit of time, maybe an hour or two on the coast. As I said, keeps the stuff off the floor, the bags round my back, and I'm mobile and can access my camera gear. But I will not be using it in kind of circumstances where I'm up in the hills for a long period of time and I need to have all the gear with me. And I certainly, I do go wild camping. Absolutely not. That bag is not a wild camping bag. So I guess if I take the 9-on-10 as a camera bag and the 5-on-10 as a mountain bag, it probably comes at somewhere about 6.5 maybe. So I'm really pleased with the purchase. It was it was a good deal. I'm really enjoying the camera aspect of the bag, but I'm disappointed by the kind of the size capacity in those two pockets. So hopefully you found that useful if you're thinking about buying a bag. If you've got one, let me know what you think. Share your experiences with it, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell, because I'll be in Norway in a few weeks and you don't want to miss those films when I get back. So subscribe, click the bell, and then you'll know when I've posted those films. And I hope to see you next time. Cheers, bye.